Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television, radio, and podcast talk show. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. We are syndicated. You can find us on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. Another way you can find us as well is on the radio. Yeah, the biggest country station in South Carolina. We're proud to be part of that team, WZLA. You can also find us in Alabama, North Alabama. That's still there. Watch channel 182 on Charter Communications, which is part of the Spectrum Network. We appreciate every chance we get at getting the word out there to you. Continue also watching us on all the social media sites. Facebook.com is a great one. That's D Feazell at the end of that tag. Continue sending email. I treasure all of them. Donna@donnasedge.com. Donna@donnasedge.com. I have my friend attorney Don Brown with me right now, and I want to always say thank you for your service. Okay, I met a guy in a restaurant. Phil and I were out having some supper one night, and so we saw him. He had on his cap. Vietnam's where he was at, and we always thank folks who fought for our country. Always.
Well, thank you, Donna. I am a veteran. I'm not a combat veteran, but I appreciate the kind thoughts, and am so protective of my fellow veterans, and it's nice to be remembered. Harris Teeter, I really appreciate them. They have Harris Teeter and Lowe's both have reserve veterans parking. It's very, very nice. So
yeah,
but I would do it all over again. Would do it all over again for sure, no question.
We have quite a few things I want to talk to you about. A number of things. We've got some catching up we're going to have to do next month because we're going to have a short segment today. The first of all is about Fauci. It's a bit confusing. I mean, like what color tie do you have? What's the color of the carpet? He wouldn't even answer that. What is his focus?
Well, Fauci, let's think about it. First of all, he is the beneficiary of an auto pen pardon for what that's worth. But if you you remove the question of his pardon aside, he supposedly has been pardoned, but isn't it interesting that he's still pleading the fifth? Ordinarily, if you've been pardoned, there's no reason to plead the fifth because you can't be prosecuted. Now, having said that, he's been pardoned for any federal crimes, but not for state crimes, which is probably why he's doing that. He pled the fifth on the color of his tie, the color of his handkerchief, this, that, and the other. But if it's about the science, why you got to plead the fifth? If you think about what Fauci and his cohorts have done, they have created mass mayhem and damage to Americans on two fronts. One is with the experimental jab. And you and I have talked about this. I've been involved in legal actions involving that jab and know it well, did not take it, preached against it like you have, but know that the death rate has spiked above every other vax combined over a 30-year period since the government started taking adverse reaction statistics on vaccines, number one. But number two, and people aren't really talking about this, but the regimen that was put in, I'm not talking about the jab, I'm talking about something else that may be just as dangerous. The regimen that was put in for COVID treatment in hospitals. So if you had to go to hospital for COVID, what they would do first, the first step in the regimen was to treat you with something called remdesivir, one, and then two, to put you on a ventilator. Let's look at remdesivir. Remdesivir, and this is outlined in Bobby Kennedy's book, The Real Anthony Fauci, which I recommend to everybody. I read that book during the end of COVID, before Bobby Kennedy even ran for president as a Democrat. He did his country a service, and I listened to it on tape and then bought the book, and it's very thick, but it's cross-referenced. But Bobby Kennedy points out that in Africa, in the 5 to 6 years before COVID, they were using this remdesivir kind of as an experimental drug to treat AIDS and Ebola patients. It's supposed to be an antiviral thing. Well, the death rate from the remdesivir was so high as 60, that's 60%. They pulled it off the market in Africa. It's causing major organ failure, major kidney failure, lung failure. Well, after they pulled it off in Africa, they put it on the market in the United States, Donna. After they seen how deadly it was in Africa, and after the Africans pulled it off, they put it on the market. And they were paying hospitals to use it and paying hospitals to use these ventilators. And Fauci's role in all that is something that if I were his lawyer, I would never be his lawyer, but if I were, I'd say, look, dude, you better be careful, because there's a lot here that still hasn't even come to the light of day. And I would imagine that's why you saw him, taking the fifth, every time he blinked his eye, and at every question, even though this question seemed preposterous to take the fifth on some of his questions, he did anyway. So we'll see how it comes about.
Yeah. I have a question too about, because his nervousness, there were times that he was just rattling papers, just like this. But, so basically he's getting by with it, it looks like. But can something be done on a state level?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you better believe it. You better believe it. We've had Democrat attorney generals in North Carolina since 1898. But you had a right Republican attorney general, for example, in North Carolina. Some of these perpetrators of these deadly treatments can be called into question. He is not immune from state prosecution if you can prove that what he has done has harmed citizens of a certain state. You've got to be able to prove it, but he certainly is not immune from state investigation, from state civil action, or from state prosecutions by any means. And, we have, half the states have Republican attorneys general. The Democrat attorneys general are going to let him slide, but, right there in South Carolina, I'd like to see Alan Wilson do something. We got a Democrat in North Carolina. I hope that's going to change in 2028. Democrat or Attorney General Jeff Jackson here in North Carolina won't do a thing about Fauci or Roy Cooper or any of them, but they need to be held. Republican attorneys general in these states need to hold these COVID pushers, these COVID vax and experimental medicine type pushers like Fauci and Deborah Birx and the ones who were responsible for it locally here in North Carolina. You had Roy Cooper and Mandy Cohen. They need to have their feet held to the fire, and they need to account for the damage that they have thrust upon the people during this COVID scam, which is the most aggressive act of unconstitutional tyranny in this country since probably FDR threw Americans in prison during World War II simply because they're of Japanese ancestry.
Absolutely. Well, Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama is already stating that once he gets into office as governor, if that happens, that he's really going to go for it. Well, Fauci's going to really have to pay for it. I hope he does.
Well, Coach Tuberville is on mark. And we'll be stuck with a Republican AG in North Carolina here for another couple of years, but we'll be stuck with a Democrat AG, Jeff Jackson, for another couple of years. If we ever get a Republican in there, people have to answer for what they have done. These purveyors of these COVID vaccine scams and remdesivir scams and these scams where they're counting COVID deaths that really aren't COVID deaths in order to get money and scare people, they need to be held to account. And I'm hoping the day will come when they are held to account, every one of them.
Well, even now, people who took the jab, the ones that didn't have an issue really so bad when they first took the jab are having issues now. I mean, young people are dying of heart attacks.
Right. Well, Donna, Peter McCullough, one of the inventors of the mRNA technology, warned against it because he pointed out the mRNA technology attacks the immune system. So even if it had stopped COVID, and Biden and Fauci both said, take the jab, you won't get COVID. They lied there, what's all. Even if it stopped COVID, if it's breaking down the immune system, people are going to get sick. And we tried to warn. Some of us tried to warn and got laughed at. But now, unfortunately, we're being proven right. And I don't take any relish in being proven right on this because there are friends and family members of mine that foolishly took that jab. But who I really don't blame is the governmental pharmaceutical complex, Fauci, Biden, here in North Carolina, Roy Cooper, Mandy Cohen, and every power-hungry fool that put their own power and the desire to see how far they could push a tyrannical envelope above the good of the people. They all need to be held to account.
Yeah, I remember you and I on the shows. You and I took a lot of. I got kicked off of Facebook and YouTube and everything else a lot because you and I were talking about it.
Yeah,
we were begging people.
Go ahead. Now, me and you both are Facebook prisoner alums. We got out the Facebook Prisoner Alumni Association for speaking out against this dangerous stuff. But we bonded and formed an alliance there, which will never be broken because we saw what they were doing, but few people had the courage to speak up against it. They just wanted to hold their heads down and go along because the government said so, and now we're paying the price.
Well, I'll have to tell you, and I still have some family members who haven't apologized to me yet. My brother's one of them. He took every jab they had out there. He thought that's what you were supposed to do, and then he claimed I was trying to kill Mother. Mother was living with us and all this, and he said, and Mother's going to wind up dying because you're not taking the jab. And now my brother never feels good. I mean, it's like there's something wrong with him all the time.
Well, we have, the real pandemic, Donna, was and to a large degree remains what I call the pandemic of ignorance. Because so few people wanted to put their thinking caps on and say, wait a minute, why, Fauci, you tell me on Monday that a mask are no good and then tell me on Tuesday to wear a mask? Nobody wanted to ask that question. Nobody wanted to look into it. Or why are you telling us to take a jab that is in an experimental stage and is under an emergency use authorization? Nobody asked the question. You say that if we take the jab, we won't get COVID. How do you know that? It's not even been tested. People did not put their thinking caps on, unfortunately. And it's a product of not teaching critical thinking in the schools for years and years and years and years and years. And very few of us stood against it. I mean, we got thrown off Facebook, thrown off Twitter, got thrown in a Facebook jail, got called conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, we were crazy.
We're ridiculed for pushing a quote unquote horse medicine. And let me tell you that horse medicine, ivermectin, it works. I still use it. By the way, my favorite store, I know you got some of those around the county there, is Tractor Supply, and I love the apple flavor, just for the record.
It tastes pretty good, actually. But I remember my brother and some of the other people in my family, like, actually neighing at me like I was a horse.
Yeah.
But I'm a healthy one.
Well, and I won't say who neighed at me, but I got some of that stuff too. But here's the thing about it. I had my last dog, Punky. I loved her to death, and she got cancer. And in the last weeks of her life, the veterinarian was giving her prednisone, which is a steroid given to humans. So what I want to say, prednisone's a dog medicine. Horses and dogs get penicillin. What does that make it, a horse or a dog medicine?
Does that make it? My big question about it was, okay, we haven't even solved the cancer issue yet. We've been waiting decades on that. Pink marches, stuff been going on for how many decades now? And they still say they haven't found the cure for cancer. So if they haven't found the cure for cancer, okay, what makes you think they found a cure for anything like that? This COVID, I mean, it never made sense to me at all.
And the cynical part of me asks what makes me think they want to find a cure for cancer, because all the money that is in the cancer industry, all the money that's in the
money maker,
in the in the chemotherapy industry, and conspiracy theory cynic, I guess I am.
I'll wear my tinfoil hat proudly, and also a badge of honor being kicked off of Facebook. I'm okay with it. Okay, we've got to go into a commercial break.
All right.
We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at TwinCityUsedCars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. You know, finding the right home isn't just about bedrooms and square footage. It's about comfort, security, and the feeling you get the moment you walk through the door. That's why so many families across Greenwood and the Lakelands area trust Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams. And I'll tell you from personal experience, Jenny was my realtor, and she truly cares about her clients. Jenny takes the time to listen, to understand what matters most, and to guide you every step of the way, whether you're buying your first home, upgrading, or ready to sell. Because this isn't just a transaction, it's your life. With local knowledge, personal care, and a commitment to getting it right, Jenny Ferguson makes the process simple and even enjoyable. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, now's the time to make your move. Call Jenny Ferguson with Keller Williams in Greenwood today and take the next step toward a place you'll truly love coming home to.
Lowe's knows that the projects you build in spring are the ones you can't wait to share. It's why we make sure you have our best deals with My Lowe's Rewards and that you get help from people who've
been there,
done that.
Try this.
This spring, we'll help you build something rewarding.
Hey, Stan. What's up? I made you something. Oh, thank you. And I got something for you. You grew these? Of course.
Lowe's knows how to help you spring.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities. Shine your style at Kiss My Glass right here in the Anderson Mall. There's a place where style meets sparkle. At Kiss My Glass, every piece is handcrafted, custom designed, and made to shine just like you. Owner Beth Gibson brings creativity to life with stunning custom tumblers, gifts, and one-of-a-kind pieces you won't find anywhere else. Look for the perfect gift or something uniquely you, from bold and glamorous to simple and elegant. There's something for every style, so stop by, get inspired, and leave with something unforgettable. Kiss My Glass inside the Anderson Mall, Anderson, South Carolina, where your sparkle begins. Be sure to check out Kiss My Glass on Facebook for updates and specials and gift ideas.
We are back. My name is Donna. This is the Donna and Donna Show, and we appreciate your listening to us.
Best show on TV, by the way, right? Best show on TV.
I think so. All social media sites as well. So we're proud to be part of that team there. You know what? It's resounding. Like when you just, I'm not like the smartest person in the room, but what I mean is when common sense comes in, and something doesn't feel right. Something is not right. And I was so glad because I wanted to do on the show, and this was when COVID first hit. And I thought, I don't know if he's going to agree the way I do, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. And you and I were both looking at each other. Boy, we started. It was just like, yes, of course I agree with you. It was just a bunch of nonsense. Okay, so I want to talk to you of South Carolina. We are having a special election coming up. There's a lot of talk out there. I would just love to have a senator that would go along with what we just talked about. Anthony Fauci and all the nonsense that's being thrown in direction in our way and just ruining America as we know it used to be.
Yeah.
Okay, on your list of candidates, who do you suggest? Who are you rooting for?
Well, there are 9 candidates. Only 5 made the first debate, and I watched both of the debates. You had Fry, you had Sanford, you had Darlene, Ralph Norman, and Mark Lynch. Of those 5, in my opinion, the 2 strongest candidates are Mark Lynch and Ralph Norman. Of course, I have a relationship with both of them and like them both, know them both personally. I think Mark, I think they both have been outstanding debates. I think Mark may have helped him more than anybody. Now, I'm not saying Mark will win the race. I think there's going to be a runoff, and I hope we can come back and talk soon after the August 11th primary. I think Mark has, acquitted himself outstandingly. Mark Lynch, that is, in the two debates. He's shown a command of issues, and he's a businessman and has never been in politics. Ralph Norman also was in business a long time before he, got into politics, and has been a member of the Freedom Caucus there in D.C. And sometimes it was his bump. Trump, he endorsed Nikki Haley. Trump, but I think he did that with Trump's blessing. They go back a long way, and I don't think Trump holds that against him. Arlene, of course, Graham has, she's Lindsay's sister, but there's no track record. We don't really know where she stands. She says she will back the president, but she wouldn't be in this position if she weren't Lindsay's sister.
Well, can I just say something? I am for women being in office. Usually I check the woman out first. I hate to be that way, but I am. I really checked her out. I just didn't. I'm not getting it, why she's running in the first place. I'm sure she's a nice lady.
Well, when this came about, I was interviewed several times and told folks I thought she was a caretaker position. I was really rather surprised when, of course, nothing the president does surprise me, I guess, but I was surprised to see her take the leap from being a caretaker position. In other words, I thought she would hold that until January, hold her brother's seat. And, in some ways, that was a safe pick by Henry McMaster. Henry McMaster had endorsed Pamela Everett, and Trump had endorsed Pamela Everett for governor, that is the lieutenant governor, and she didn't win. She got in, she finished first, but then lost to Alan Wilson in the runoff. And so I thought she might have gotten into the Senate race. She did not. Mark Sanford tried to run for Congress and finished like at 8% in his own district. He's toast. I don't think he's got a snowbird's chance, especially after all the stuff that went down when he was governor with that girl from Argentina or whatever. Fry, I haven't seen much from him that shows me that he is a heavyweight. Darlene Graham doesn't have the chops for it. And maybe she's a nice lady. Maybe if she got in there, she would vote the right way. The two guys with business experience are Lynch and Ralph. And but I think that I think you're going to see a runoff. And remember these three names, because two of the three will be in the runoff, in my opinion. Darlene Graham, because of her name. Ralph Norman, and/or Mark Lynch. Mark did a really good job. That is, Lynch he lost in the primary to Lindsay, but they forced Lindsay to spend about $50 million. They were really worried. So he did a decent job of building statewide name recognition. I think he's got better name recognition than anybody, maybe other than Ralph Norman and Darlene Graham. And Darlene Graham's name recognition is only because of her last name. So I think you're going to see a runoff with two of those three. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that. So you got to have, you got to crack 50% in South Carolina. And the notion, as is possible, but I don't know that any of them are going to be able to, to get out 50% with 9 in the race. Now, there are 9 people in the race, and there's some candidates that are not serious candidates. Danny Ford II, the son of the Clemson football coach who has a name that is recognizable, ran for agriculture commissioner, is in the race. There are some other ones, and those folks can actually, when you've got, the top 5 candidates, and of the top 5 who were on the stage in Columbia Monday night, was Monday night, I believe, the first debate, and there was another one last night, or maybe it was Sunday night. I watched it. But anyway, of the top 5 there in Columbia, I think you can take, I don't think I don't think Mark Sanford is going to be a real factor. The congressman from Myrtle Beach, Fry, I can't I don't think he's got statewide recognition. He's a congressman, and more power to him for that. But he's not been in Congress a long time. He's a younger guy. Ralph Norman has statewide recognition, and so does Mark Lynch, because they both just came off statewide races. Ralph ran for governor and did a pretty respectable job. He finished third in that race. Did not, did not make runoff, but he beat Nancy Mace pretty bad. He did a respectable job. And then, of course, Mark Lynch, who ran a long and he spent about $5 million of his own money in the original, race against Lindsay. So he's done a good job of building his name recognition. And those are the two who would be the friendliest to the business community, in my opinion.
Well, I usually, anytime there is an election, I generally go for the businessman. Just, the person who doesn't have a whole lot of experience in office. I think of Trump every single time. I think of, who doesn't handle it the same old way, like, I don't know, we just have too many people who are in office that really nothing happens. I mean, they say they're going to do all this stuff and it never happens.
I would encourage folks to go watch the debates. We have 2 debates, under our belt now in the South Carolina Senate race. And I'll tell you, in the debate in Charleston last night, what they'll do, they'll have a question to everybody on a certain topic came up on tariffs, and they were saying, well, the port in Charleston is down. Is that because of tariffs? And Mark Lynch and Ralph Norman gave the best answers. They gave the best answers. Ralph said, and Mark said, look, he's in the appliance business, Jeff Lynch Appliance in Greenville, and he pointed out we've lost our jobs because we shipped them overseas. And that's what Mark was pointing out. So tariffs are selectively beneficial for that. And Ralph pointed the same thing out. It's not right for, for China to flood our market with goods and then tariff our soybeans and our corn and whatever we're shipping to them back to the point that it's not saleable there. They both had good answers. So I would encourage folks to go back and watch both of those debates. The first debate, was on WBT in Charlotte. The second one, well, I've seen them both. You can find them online, but and I would encourage folks to do your due diligence in the South Carolina Senate race, and don't just vote for somebody because of their name. If you think Darlene is, if you think she's a real deal, that's one thing, but do your due diligence, and I think you'll come to a solid conclusion.
Well, I loved my teacher, my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Anderson, and she was like phenomenal. I mean, she's like the best teacher ever. But you couldn't see Miss Anderson running for U.S. Senate. You know what I mean?
I can stand there with my grandmother.
Wonderful. Yeah. I loved her. I mean, but no, sometimes people are just not meant for that particular position. Right. So, and it shouldn't be because of who you is or anything like that either. Again, I'm saying I bet she's just a charming lady. But let's go for the people who we think would actually be able, because we're up against huge machines, and I'm talking about on the Democrat and Republican side.
Yes, we are. We sure
Got to get the right person in.
No question about it.
A fighter. Absolutely. Don, we're going to have to go. Oh, tell folks how they can find your books.
Well, you can go to Amazon and type me in Don Brown. We are our website, Don Brown Books, is undergoing a facelift at the moment. You can go on there and see the landing page. We're doing a facelift on that to accommodate a couple of new books that need to be added onto it. And I just pitched another book to a publisher just this afternoon, and if it gets picked up, we'll talk about it. So maybe I'll talk to you about it off the record, Donna. But anyway, really appreciate that. The Kangaroo Court's our most recent book, which came out just at the time of the presidential election, and so happy to autograph books and to communicate with readers, and anybody can reach me at donbrownbooks@gmail.com. I'll respond to the mail and we'll have a good conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Don, for being with me, and thank you guys so much for watching the show. It's always such an honor. Continue sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com, Donna@donnasedge.com, and stay tuned for another show of the Donna and Donna Show. We'll see you later.
Thank you, Donna.